As a relatively newer fan of Hazbin Hotel, many questions arose once I first watched the pilot episode. I am sure this is the case for many others, as there are so many interesting things and characters to explore. But today we're going to be focusing on a few questions about one demon in particular, Alastor, the popular and immensely loved radio demon that many people can't seem to get enough of. I'm sure if you've seen the pilot episode, you're more than aware as to who he is, but since my channel is a variety channel, let me give a very brief explanation. Alastor is one of the more prominent characters in Hazbin Hotel, an overlord in hell, and a known destructive force as can be told by Vaggie in the pilot episode. Whenever he speaks, his voice sounds as though it's being spoken through an old radio.
Alastor, pleasure to be meeting you, sweetheart. Quite a pleasure.
And he apparently broadcasted his murderous carnage throughout hell once he manifested there, hence gaining the nickname the Radio Demon. When he was alive, he was a serial killer living in New Orleans, Louisiana, and he died in the 1930s, hence his clothing style and overall appearance. He is undoubtedly a fan favorite and a favorite of mine as well. But his death is the cause of much speculation, since the creator, Vivziepop, hasn't really given us a definite answer. Going off the information I could find, in the past, Vivziepop stated he was shot and killed by a deer hunter. But in more recent news, his cause of death was replaced by a dog-related incident. You see, this got me thinking, how exactly did Alastor die? A dog-related incident is good enough for some people, but I'd like to think deeper. And within my thinking, I was able to come up with a fun theory that sated my hunger for a definite answer. This theory also has to do with the fact that Alastor has many deer-like qualities. For example, his ears, his antlers, and the hooves on the bottom of his shoes. Many of the demons in the Hazbin Hotel universe have certain qualities from animals or something similar, so this could just be an artistic choice, but my theory could just explain exactly why he is a deer. So if you want to stick with the idea of Alastor's death being a dog-related incident, I think I have a pretty good theory as to how he died. With Alastor being a serial killer in his living days, there's no doubt the police were looking for the killer, or at least trying to get a lead. And you know what most police use in cases where they're trying to track down a suspect? Police dogs. And you can't tell me there wasn't such a thing as police dogs in the 1930s, because police dogs have been around since the Middle Ages. You can kinda already see where I'm going with this theory, can't you? I believe that Alastor maybe slipped up after murdering one of his victims. Even though he seems like a very smart individual who would cover his tracks, there's no doubt that sometimes slip-ups happen. He possibly made a mistake, and the result was the cops being alerted to his position. And therefore, when he ran away in an attempt to escape, the police probably released their dogs to chase after him in case he got away, which is most likely how he died. But I'm not saying he got mauled to death by dogs. This could be a possibility, but I think it goes even farther than this, since the cause of his death is dog-related, not flat-out caused by dogs. I believe the dogs chased him towards the police, which ended in his death once he was shot by one of them. Actually, in a few scenes in Hazbin Hotel, you can see a clear X between his eyes. Maybe a sign as to where he was shot? Alastor apparently is known to have feared dogs in the past, but now has a disliking towards them. So I really don't think my idea is too far-fetched. So I explained how he died, but why is he a deer, and what does this have to do with him having deer-like attributes? Let me explain the second part of this theory to you. As someone who grew up and lives in the South, pretty close to New Orleans, there are many people here who love to hunt. And I can tell you myself, hunting deer is a big thing in this area. And although I've never done it myself, I know plenty of people who have. Along with the people who like to hunt in general, there are people who like to run dogs while they hunt. I see this shit all the time when I'm riding down the road in hunting season, trust me. You see, people who run their dogs while they hunt normally just sort of sit on the side of the road and release their dogs from their trucks to chase after a deer for them. The dogs will usually track down the deer and then chase it towards the hunter, allowing for the hunter to get a clear shot on the deer without having to wait for a perfect opportunity. It's basically normal hunting with less patience, and the dogs do most of the work. Alastor having deer-like qualities could just be an artistic choice, as I said, but the coincidence of police dogs possibly chasing him down, resulting in his death, and the similarity of dogs chasing down deer for their hunters is too much to ignore. It's practically the same story, but different scenarios. I would like to think this has a really high possibility of being the truth considering everything lines up, but at the end of the day, it is just a fun theory that shouldn't be taken too seriously. If you like this theory, then you're more than welcome to accept it until the creator reveals more information or something else comes out. But just remember, at the end of the day, theories are just theories.